Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's Saturday and Ian's away for the day, he's out. So I'm not going to see him until probably about 5-6 o'clock tonight. So I've got a free kind of quiet day today. I took Mr Bentley out walking this morning, and while we were out I was looking at some of the leaves that were on the ground, and I spotted a couple that I thought were quite interesting. So let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll explain what my thought process is for today's project. Okay, so these are the two leaves that I picked up this morning. So I believe this one is a common lime and this one is a silver maple or an acer, depending on where you are, what you actually want to call them. Obviously we're in full flow of autumn at the moment, so all the colours are obviously kind of beautiful orangey browns and beautiful golden yellows, so absolutely stunning. So my idea was for today was to create a watercolour study of these two leaves. So I'm not all that good at watercolouring, so let me just drop them onto that paper there so you can see them better. Yeah, watercolouring is not my strong point. It's not something that I've practiced very often. I've not had any training in it whatsoever. It's just something that I have a go at every so often. So what I want to do is, this is a sheet of one of those cotton rag watercolour paper that I told you about in a previous video. What I want to do is I want to create an art journal page that kind of folds out from one of my small journals, this little journal here. I want to attach the page, but it's going to fold outwards so that I've got the study inside. So I'm going to be popping a couple of holes in there. I will obviously, it's too high for the actual journal itself, so I will tear it along there and then fold it and then mark where the holes need to go. Make it appropriate size, basically what I'm saying. So that's the intention, but what I need to do once I've done that is I need to kind of get the shape of the leaves. So to do that I'm just going to be very loose. I've got a pencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, I'll tell you what, let me do the paper first and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with the pencil. Okay, so kind of journal height, so it needs to be kind of double that. So just needs to have a little bit taken off there and a little bit taken off the bottom. Right, let me do that. Where's my paper tearers? And then let's get the small decal edge, small to medium decal edge. Let's use the larger one. So I only need to take off about that, I think, out there. That'll do. And then at the bottom we're only kind of looking about there. So probably about there. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit smaller. Whoops. Didn't hold that down tight enough, did I? Oh, you see now it's doing its own thing. Let's go this way instead. Sometimes it does help if you actually wet the paper beforehand. But on this occasion it doesn't really matter. Let's just lift that up there. There we go. All I did was just flip it around. There we go. Twill do. Twill do. Right, so that's going to be pretty much where it's going to be. Yeah, maybe just fold it in a tad more. Yeah, happy with that. Okay, so leaves. Let's grab the lime first, and literally all I need to do is just kind of get almost kind of, it doesn't have to be an exact, as long as it's about, that will kind of satisfy me, I think, for what I want to do with this today. So that's about that, and then the stem just around about there. So let's yeah, that's pretty much that there. And then the maple leaf, this is going to take a little bit longer, so I'm just going to pretty much do what you've already seen me do there. So let me go off, finish this, just roughly kind of scribbling around the edges like that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've done both of the leaves now, and I've kind of just gone around and just consolidated a few of the smaller kind of areas that I didn't quite put enough pressure down on the paper. But what I've also done is I've looked at the structure of the veining, and I've tried to just add a little bit of a guide underneath as to where the veins kind of need to go, so you can see them coming from the bottom of the stem here straight out and up the leaf there, and then up there, and then it kind of branches off to the points in each of the leaf's fingers, if you like. So you just get a sense of a vein coming off towards each of those kind of fingers. So I think we've got the structure down, so I just need to keep hold of those for a little bit of reference. So I'll pop my paper terrors away now. Let me get hung back on their little hook. There we go. So, watercolours. I'm just going to use a really inexpensive set. These were just, I can't remember whether these were sent to me in Happy Mail or I picked them up really cheaply at a craft store. I can't remember. I've had them for that long. I've got two little pots of water. One's going to be clean, kept clean. One's going to be rinsing brushes out. And I've got some kitchen towels. So colour wise, let's have a look. Brushes. I'm going to start off with, I think they call that a filbert. So I'm going to try and mix up some yellows on the palette side over here that kind of mimic as much as possible. Get some water. Here we go. So I'll just start adding a fair bit of water to that pot. So this is a kind of yellowy yellow, but we're going to need a little bit of orange, just a tiny bit, just to kind of tone it down. And what I'll do is I will keep bringing over, let me just move the palette over so you can probably see what I'm doing. So I'm picking up a little bit of colour and I'm just adding it to it, and I'm just bringing the leaf over till I've got a similar sort of colour, which I think, yeah, I'm fairly sort of happy with that. So rinse off and then do the final rinse in the clean. And then for the the acer, the maple, I'm just going to flood that kind of area with the water. Let it soak a little, just a teeny tiny bit. Then I'm going to pick up just a little bit of the colour, and I'm just going to start dropping it in. I'm going to let it just wick and float wherever it wants to go. Like I said, I'm not a trained watercolourist by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so let's start on this bit over here. Just trying to get a sort of centre of base coat down first, and once it dries it will be subtle. The colours do kind of die down a little bit. Okay, so a little bit more of that yellow. And then a touch of the orange, just for that colour. So just put the wash in. And then we can just start adding in more of that colour. Touch of orange, but not a huge amount. I don't particularly mind if I'm not getting the exact colour each time. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just with the aid of my heat gun, is just kind of try and dry that off a little bit. Oop, I turned it off. That's the one. Okay, so that's kind of like the base coat. So now I can just start mixing in some more colour, and then just take maybe a little different hue this time. It's more orangey, and then I can start just to kind of add those orangey kind of browny tips that we see. Let me just put that there. So we're looking at this particular one here. So that seems to come down a little bit, and then like so. And then we can start to bring that colour up to that side, bit down there. And then there's just a little bit kind of almost like leopard print. You see, just in the leaf there. Just a hint. So what I'll do is I'm just going to grab a little bit more water and then just diffuse it a little bit. Okay. Again, just on the tips. That one's a little bit darker. Because I'm using a smaller brush as well, I've got a little bit more kind of control-ish, he says. So I'm just grab a smaller brush, smaller brush, a little bit of water, and then we can just kind of diffuse those lines. Just soften them out a little bit. There we go. And then add a little bit more on this side. I think actually it's maybe just a tad darker. Just a tad, he says. Doing it a lot. Well, that's more actually like the original colour, isn't it? That's much better. Perhaps I'm being a little bit too subtle. Perhaps I should have gone darker right from the word go. So what I can do with this, now that I've got pretty much that kind of colour in place, is I can now bring in that smaller brush like I did a moment ago, and then just start to kind of diffuse those lines a little bit. I think a lot of times people are frightened of watercolour because it looks like it's quite difficult technique wise. Which I suppose it is, you know, and does take a while, you know, to master. But like I said before, I don't consider myself to be a very good watercolourist, but I do like to play around with colour, and I do like to play around with shape and form. So if I can get a sort of approximation of what I'm looking at, then I'm fairly happy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to beat myself up about it if I can't get it exact. So I'm just kind of like holding up to see whether or not there's anywhere else that I kind of need to go. All I'm going to do is just add in where it's wet, just a little bit of darkness. We've got some spots here as well, so that might be. Haha, brilliant. Okay, so let's get some red, because the stem, well, you can see that on the white, is actually quite red. So, but it's a darkish red. So I think I'm going to go with this one here. Yeah. That's probably where I'm at. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a bead of that colour just along the stem. Now I'm picking the colour up and it's going to drop in just like that. And then what I'm going to do is just drag the brush up where I've got those lines that I drew in from the pencil. Like I said before, don't get too hung up on it being, you know, like photorealistic. When all's said and done, it's a painting. Get a little bit more water, because what I want to do is just add a. There we go. And I think I'm kind of happy with that. I haven't put the splodges in the same place. I wanted to let them go natural. but I think for a study, a still life study, I think that maybe just a little bit more darker down here. And I can always diffuse these lines out a little later. But I think I'm fairly happy with that as a kind of first attempt. But what I need to do, I need to dry it off first. Okay, so now that I've dried that off, I can just use that small brush that I used earlier. I'm just going to diffuse that colour a little bit in there. I've got just a tiny amount on my brush. And just at the bottom there, there's almost just a little touch of kind of brown just down there at the bottom. But also kind of just a hint of yellow. I think that'll do. That's okay for that maple leaf for now. So let's have a crack. Actually, let me get this dry first. Okay, so let's have a crack at this one. So, on this colour, we're a lot more orangey, even as a base colour, I think. So let's just grab some water. Now this isn't going to be clean water, so I'm just going to wiggle the brush. I don't want even edges. Get some water into that middle so we've got a little bit for the colour to flow and ebb. So darker kind of in this area here. So let's just start adding in some colour. The beautiful thing about watercolour is once you've actually added water to your paper, your colour doesn't tend to flow past that point. Almost stays like a bit of a captive audience. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the brush down. There we go. Right, so while that's still wet, I'm going to grab some darker colour. Just start adding in some darker areas. Quite a bit up this side. A little towards the edges there. So it's diffused quite well. Okay, just try and dry that off. Now you see that's diffused a lot more than the maple leaf did. So that's alright. Let me see if I can try and grab some of that darker colour now. And using my detail brush, I can start to follow the line of the veining. So we've got up there, and then it comes there. And then we have some coming up here. I'm getting a bit too heavy-handed now, I think. It's kind of losing the... Yeah, it's kind of losing it for me now. I'm not getting the same kind of feeling from this one as I did from this one. This one's a bit too much, I think. I think I need to add some more overall kind of detail colour. Let's just grab some of this and let's come back in. Okay, I apologise for the break there, but as you probably heard, my phone started ringing and it was Ian, so I had to take the call. While I was talking to him, I just kind of added some more background colour. So let me just lay the leaf over the top, and then you can kind of see where I went with it. I kind of tried to get rid of that diffused look and added some more stronger colour to it, and I think I'm happy with the way that's turned out now. But so let me just bring that other leaf back in as well. It is lighter, but I think I've captured the essence of the leaf. I think so anyway. So what I want to do now is I just want to add a few darker splodges like I did with this, so just a few sprays onto just onto the surface, just to kind of give it that uneven. There we go, that'll do for me. I'm happy with that. So I can put the watercolours away now. Just quickly wash the brush. That's it, done. One good thing about watercolours, you can just quickly rinse the brush and then just leave it. It's not the same as acrylic or oils. Right, let's just quickly just dry that. Okay, that'll do. So all I want to do now is I've got one of these. Now, somebody said, I think, in one of the comments that they think it's a kuretake, but it's all in Japanese, so I've got no idea what it is. But yeah, it's a really fine point pen. And all I'm going to do is just add in just some tiny kind of detail, just a little bit. I'm going really kind of light, just to give you that hint of the veining. And I'm not going to go mad. Just add a little bit of detail to it. That will do, I think. I'm happy with that, and I'll just kind of formalise the stem just like that, and then just add a little bit kind of just a little bit wavy detail at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing with the stem here, but I'm not going to add any dark lines onto this one, because I think that's okay as it is. That just needed a little bit of just a little bit of additional kind of detail, I think, around the edge, just to kind of lift it a little bit. But this, I have to say, I'm happy with. So I'm going to leave that. That's going to be fine. So what I want to just quickly do is just pop a couple of holes in the paper. There we go. That should do it. I'm going to sign it and date it today's date, whatever it is. What is it today? 21st, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know what I've done with my phone. Well, let's just say it's the 21st. There we go. And then I'm happy with that. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me experiment with watercolour today. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. I will be exploring a little bit more watercolour work maybe in the new year. It is something that I want to learn more about and practice a lot more with. I may even start doing landscapes. Who can say? So that's all from me for today. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.